Welcome back, y'all, to Ratchet Thoughts and Isms. We are so happy to have you here today, and we have a segment that is unlike any that we've done thus far. But before we get started, as always, you know, we gotta introduce ourselves. So go ahead.
Yo, I'm here, Dre, Brooklynite.
Uptown, Harlem in the building. Peace.
It's Ramona.
And you already know Luke, Harlem Skywalker. We are rocking.
Where you from? I don't never say where you from.
From the Bronx.
Thank you.
Wait, I thought you was from Jersey though. You was repping Jersey in one of the other episodes. Like,
We don't talk about that. Y'all should go watch that episode, by the way, after this one. But the Bronx.
the Bronx.
Bronx.
The Bronx.
Okay.
The Bronx.
El Bronx.
You already know Luke, Harlem Skywalker. Some people have been looking to trend that name. I don't know. We'll see what happens. Anyway, so today is 4/23, and the reason why I give you the date is because when this episode does come out, I hope that we do not have more events and tragedies that happen from this date going forward. With that being said, this episode is called the Jim Crow Remix.
Jim Crow the remix.
Obviously, so much has happened. We've had some justice, and we've also continued to have bloodshed and endless killings of our brethren and sisters, and it is just disheartening. A bunch of words that I can say, but it's a reoccurring. It's like watching a rerun, really, when you think about it, how often this has happened. And we're going to talk about it. And as we always start our show, is with a disclaimer.
Oh. I was expecting that. I was
Because you look really surprised.
Yeah, I am. Anyway, the thoughts and opinions of Uptown Brown are solely the thoughts of opinions of Uptown Brown and do not reflect upon the lovely cast of Ratchet Thoughts and Isms. My thoughts are my thoughts. If y'all got an issue with it, it's cool.
Okay.
And
Thank you.
In conjunction with that, this particular episode, our opinions are our opinions.
Yeah. Right.
Because this is a subject that is dear to our hearts, and I'm sure to your hearts, regardless of your races, hopefully. And it might get deep.
You think white people watch us?
I don't know. It's tough to say.
They might.
Who knows? But maybe. But even if you are, hopefully it does affect you, because as a human, it should affect you. Period. Right? Period. Pooh.
Period.
I had to do it. That little girl is adorable. She's adorable. So how do we want to start this?
So let's talk about thoughts on the trial.
I want to give big ups to the prosecuting staff. They were thebomb.com.
Not just them, but old boy who was like, he was like, oh, I heard you called him a punk.
Yeah.
Like 15 times. He's like, if that's what you counted? Oh,
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
the
yeah.
witness. That dude, that witness, yo, that dude was
martial
like,
artist.
yeah, he was dope. Like,
Is that what you heard? Is that what you heard?
That's what it was.
yeah, that's what it was. Like, he was definitely, if I said what I said
Right,
was a
the
person.
Facts.
Yo,
Real.
your man is on it. Your man is on it. Yeah, but yeah. So what do y'all think about it as a whole?
I feel like the fact that we even had to go to trial was an issue for me. You know?
Wow.
Because it was black and white. It was on camera. It was footage. Why are you going to trial for that? It should have been something that was just a jury, yes, no, and that's it. To have a full jury, judge, prosecutor, it just was a lot for me. But the fact and the things that they said as their defense was like outrageous. Like, what? He did what? Okay, like, we really supposed to believe that? You know, as people, I feel like they was insulting our intelligence with that. But the overall verdict was great. All counts, that was great. It was great. I was happy about that.
What you Uptown?
I have mixed feelings about the verdict, right? So part of me was like, finally, a little bit of justice. I'm happy. Hopefully that, George Floyd's family got some closure behind this, right? But then another part of me was just like, I don't want a bunch of black people out here getting too happy thanking Massa for giving us something. I'm just not with it, and it's sad that I have to feel like that because we've seen so much injustice that it really, although it's a step in the right direction, it does feel like, on some level, that it's just like Massa throwing you a bone, and because I definitely know that there will probably be some white people that are out there, like, just like when Obama was president, there were white people out there like, you guys got one. You guys got a black president. Racism is over. Like, white people might sit there and be like, you guys got one. You guys won one trial. Like, racism is done. Like, so, and it's sad that I have to have these mixed emotions based upon what history has shown us, but that was really my thoughts. But I tried to shift my energy back into just hoping and praying that George Floyd's family got some closure.
That's good. Thank God I haven't heard that yet. I haven't heard that remark yet. Like, well, you guys just got your one justice. Be happy. Like, I haven't heard that yet. So.
Well, I don't know if we can. I don't know if they can make that. Like, all right, cool. The verdict came in. That's
right. We
fantastic.
Didn't get the sentencing yet.
The sentencing still didn't happen.
Right.
And just based on history, like, the sentencing could be like a slap on the wrist or something.
It could be.
And old boy just gets off scot-free. I mean, look at the fact that he's not treated like everybody else. If it was somebody else who killed George Floyd, unfortunately, like, he wouldn't have protection in jail or anything like that.
He's a police officer.
So that doesn't matter. Like, the dude. No, I get what you're saying. It does matter, and because even looking at it like that, like, let's be honest, like, the history of what policing is, where it came from, is catching slaves.
Yes, it was.
So that mentality is still ingrained in the department, overseer. Right, which is the reason why, even the people who bear the same skin tone as us get sucked into that mindset and that mind frame, which is why they have that blue wall of silence and stuff like that. So I was very happy that the police chief actually crossed over and spoke against it.
I definitely
he was very, very disgusted by what happened. But how many are we going to get? Because on the flip side, when it came to the young man that got shot, that police chief kind of covered over it for the woman police officer. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
So you got like two different dynamics concerning this whole thing, and it's kind of hard to say that we have we got a victory when the whole system needs to be switched up.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be honest. There was a part of me that was shocked, definitely in a good way, but like, I just want to remind people, right? Like, I don't remember how many years ago I know it's definitely over 20 years ago, Rodney King, right? When we saw that video footage, we was looking at that like, there's no way these officers gonna get away with it.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And this was 20 years before body cams and everything fancy that we got now. You can see the body cam footage the next day if they edit it and do it. Like, before all that, we was watching Rodney King like, yo, there's no way these officers gonna walk away with this shit. You know what I'm saying? And sure enough, you know what I'm saying? Like, they never admitted to guilt. I mean, they cut them a nice check for people who care about that sort of thing. But there was never any admittance of apology or any sort of accountability taken. They just was like, not guilty, just throw them a check.
I understand that. I had someone say to me, it would be dope if they open back all the cases. Open back the Rodney King case, open back the Diallo case, open back all those cases where the cops got off. Let's go back into it and do it again. Somebody told me that, and see if we can get a better outcome this time.
I think they would never do that because that
No,
would
they
start
would
a
never.
precedent. That would open up the floodgates. Because I mean, if you want to be real, right, and you talk about changing things, right, you know what I'm saying? Like, we got to understand that as black people, there's a certain level of equality that we're never going to see because it was written that way. Because guess what? White people not going back to rewrite the Constitution to include us, right? So because it's literally how the system was written and structured to be against us, unless people are, in my opinion, I feel like unless people are going to go back and rewrite the Constitution so that everything can be written in an all-inclusive way, because of the language, we are always going to be seen as second-class citizens. And
I'm sorry, go ahead.
And we're always going to be treated a certain way because the language is literally the blueprint for entitlement. You understand?
Okay, now.
It's the blueprint for entitlement.
So I know you wanted to say something. Go ahead.
I was just going to say that I don't feel like a piece of paper and writing would change people's mentality. Just because you put it on paper and say, okay, even if they did decide to go back and add us, as you say, quote unquote, add black people and make it more equal, I feel like that's just black and white.
But you gotta understand, those words and how they was written was literally the blueprint for people's mindsets
I
and to think
understand that
everything that they doing to present day is okay.
Right. I understand that's a brainwash. That started from back then.
Absolutely.
But I also feel like that even if you did change it today, it would not change anything. Because my thing is, look at the system. Look at the way we are treated when it comes to the law. Like, laws are written, but it doesn't apply to everyone.
But
it doesn't
once
apply
again,
to everyone.
if you go back to the blueprint, it was engineered from conception to be against us.
Right. So it didn't say that in it, but we just know that. Right?
So you got to look at it like this, right? Let's use your analogy, right? Let's say they go back and rewrite it. So if you calculate the time they wrote it, when was it? I don't remember the year. I don't want
$1,600.
Whatever. You know what I'm saying? If you calculate from when the Constitution was written to now, right? That's how many equivalent years it would take from if they rewrote it for things to get back on the right track. That's what I believe.
Maybe longer. It takes 21 days to start a habit, but it takes way longer to get out of it.
Yeah, it takes 30, something like that.
So if it took this long for it to be ingrained in the system, then how much longer is it going to take for it to come out of the system?
It's paper.
You
can't change people's minds.
You're right.
I agree.
You're right. I mean, there's not a law or bill that can be written that's going to make one human treat another human being with respect. Right. But I always say, right, especially when you look at the killing of black people by police, it's mostly men.
It is.
Well, let me give you some stats since you bring it up. So, since 2005, there have been more than 13,000 deadly police shootings in the U.S., right? Out of those, only 4 officers, not including Mr. Derek Chauvin, has been convicted of actual murder. And yes, this is for killing a black person. 4, right? So since 2005, right? 13,000. Out of those 13,000, 106 killings charged with murder, manslaughter, resulting on an on-duty shooting. And only 4 of them have been convicted. And yes, they were black. 2005.
So the question is, why is the number so low?
This, and for those of you who are probably like, where are we getting these stats? You can go to the Police Integrity Research Group at Bowling Green State University, who specializes in giving these stats, and this is also stats that the FBI has also given out.
I believe it. I have an answer to your. Well, I feel like I have an answer to your question in regards to why the stats are so low. You got to remember, back in slavery, the police chief, the judge, the lawyer, the sheriff, they all were part of a certain
the good old boys club. That's what they like to call it.
They were part of a certain racist group. And so if someone got convicted of a crime, that's, you know, that we all connected. We're all going to make sure that this person goes down because we all won, right?
Yeah.
So now I feel like 2021, we have more different races now in the system. Law enforcement is a little bit different. The judges are not the same that they used to be back then. So I feel like the numbers are going to go up for that reason. Back then, 2005, I know it doesn't seem so far, you know, it seems like it just was yesterday, but back then, it was nothing but rude, what they call them? Itself?
Good old boys club.
Good old boys club, yeah. Good old boys club, and that's how it started. The Irish, they started it. So I feel like now, 2021, people are going back to school, they're becoming lawyers, they're becoming judges for that reason, so they can make a difference. That's my answer to your question. I don't know, you know, if anyone feels the same way, but I feel that way. I feel like now we're doing what we have to do as Black people by going to school, getting educated, so we can be those people that make a difference in Black people's lives.
All right.
Just for reference, can you imagine what it was like prior? Like these numbers, like you say, is so low, right? And for me, I think that's a high number, period. But in an age where there were no phones, no cell phones, like
let's even think about the fact that they actually used to. No, they would take pictures of them doing this stuff to us.
They would.
They posted pictures of them doing this stuff to us, and they would smiling and pointing and stuff like that. So it honestly,
it's ironic
to have the videotapes and stuff like that. It's pretty much like Groundhog's Day. Like reliving over and over again what happened back then. So yeah, like it's not like we have the evidence. It's not, they don't care. It's a trophy for them.
I definitely believe that. I want to shift the conversation for a minute and speak to the parents. You're not a parent, Luke, but you can answer this question because I think
I got nieces and nephews.
True, right? So, how would you explain being Black or the differences between being Black and everyone else to your children?
I think the conversation actually starts with
what age do you have that conversation at, like with your kids?
Well, unfortunately, you gotta have this conversation quite early, especially due to gentrification now.
What age?
Maybe like
you all have kids here, so I want to know what
6.
age.
So I'm gonna tell you right now. The way I'm gonna answer that question, right, is I think you gotta base it on the child that you have, right? Because I don't think that I would have been able to hit Taylor or John, my two oldest, when they were like 6. It might have been like 7 or 8 for them. Right? No, around 6 for John, maybe around 7 or 8 for Taylor. But with Noah, I was hitting her with that at 4 because I knew her level of comprehension.
These kids are smart now.
Far exceeds. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Like, I mean, I got videos of her at 4 years old talking about Trump.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, so. Like she's very aware of, you know, what's going on in the world. I mean, even at the age she's at now, right? Like she'll be like, we'll be chilling watching Netflix. She'll be like, I want to watch a Black movie, because she knows there's a difference between the type of movies that we culturally make and the type of movies that other people make culturally. So, and anybody know me, I'm super, like, I'm Black, y'all. I'm blacker than Black. Like, that's me all day, every day.
Black.
You know what I'm saying?
Black,
right.
Yeah.
So, at 4 years old, I was just like, you know you Black, right? Like, telling her what it is.
Right.
Are you doing the Professor Brown when you're giving her these talks?
Put your glasses down.
I don't know. Maybe. Possibly.
Okay.
For me, I feel like I'm piggybacking off what Uptown said, you have to know your child. So if you speak into your child and you see that they have some kind of wisdom when it comes to certain things, you can ask them questions to see where they are. Especially once they start going to school, they'll come back home and tell you their whole day. And if something seems a little off with the conversation that they're telling you, like this girl in my class told me that she's better than me because she has, you know, certain things they say to you will spark it in your mind as a parent, like, oh, yeah, that was racist. You understand what I'm saying? And then that's when I would sit down with my child and kind of explain to her, how did that make you feel? And things like that to see.
But it don't even gotta be like racist. It could just be like she heard somebody say something that she felt like was one kid bullied another kid. Like, I mean, at the end of the day, if your kid is smart enough to be able to recognize certain things at at an early age, and you can see that.
That's true.
I say the earlier the better.
Right.
Because by the time they get to them double-digit ages, they'll be able to deal with things a little bit better.
But I don't want to introduce it in a way that she's not even ready for it. Like, she didn't even know black from white. And here I go telling her black people this, white people. You know what I'm saying? I don't want her to.
It's fine.
You know
I told my kids
want,
are like 3-4 Santa Claus.
Right.
It's not real.
Right, but that's you. So it's like, I don't want to bring that topic to her when she's not even thinking about it.
You took Santa Claus for your
Right.
at 3 and 4?
Yes.
Don't
I'm not going to let no fat white man take credit for my hard work. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Do you not know what this conversation is about? It's not about bro. I'm not going to let some fat white man who, you know what I'm saying, want kids to sit on his lap. I think that's a little bit of pedophile. Whatever the word is, he's a pedophile. I don't like it. I don't think it's cool.
Stop.
You know what I'm saying?
Pineapples, they don't like it.
Pineapple.
My kids ain't sitting on your lap, buddy. Tell you that right now. It's not happening.
It also depends on the parent you have.
Thank you.
What about your
If I'm your parent, it's
Different.
I actually had that conversation with my daughter when she was about 6. Again, pretty intelligent, and she asked those questions based on stuff that she may have seen on TV or, you know, the conversation. Again, we got gentrification, and where I live, you know, there's a lot of
gentrification.
there's a lot of
That's the epicenter of where you live at.
So when she sees certain things, it piques her interest. Because she's intrigued about things, she'll ask me questions. So much so that even when she got older, like she was very, very into that movie, The Hate You Give. And you know, we went to the movie to see that, and she's even like reading the book for like the 3rd time.
My daughter was into that, my oldest.
Yeah. So I, like you said, you know, knowing your child, you know when to have that conversation. It's also about your environment, you know, because even if you know, you might feel like they're young, based on the environment you're in, you kind of want to get into, you know, those kind of conversations.
Can I
just for instance,
can I share something personal real quick?
Just give me 1 second. So like for me, right now, if I were to have another child at this age or whatever, where I live, that's like the epicenter of where people want to meet to have protests and stuff. So because that stuff is like live and you know, and living color in my area, those are conversations I need to have with them even at a young age.
Makes sense. Makes a lot of sense.
Okay.
So I remember
Up close and personal with Uptown.
No. I remember having to explain something to my youngest at a real young age because I was sitting down with all 3 of my kids and we was watching Fruitvale Station, right? And toward the end of the movie, like I'm in tears, right? Because when I see that movie, all I see is, and I'm sure that the 2 brothers sitting here we can relate. At that point in our lives, at that age, that could have happened to any one of us.
Yeah.
So when I see that movie, he was just hanging out on a train being silly with his friend. When I see that movie, it hits me a certain way. You know what I'm saying? Because I could see images of my life, us leaving Skate Key back in the days, on the 2 train, riding back uptown. Like that could have easily, you know what I'm saying, us coming down to Harlem for Grant's Tomb on any scenario, that could, Harlem Week, whatever, any scenario, that could have been us on the train, riding around with our friends, and then next thing you know, we get up and get killed by the cops. Like, it hits me so personally, like I can't watch that movie without getting a little teary, like it's crazy. So because
reality,
I watched that movie and started crying a little bit, of course my youngest, she asked me what's up, and I had to like share a little bit of like, Daddy's upset because this could have been Daddy or one of Daddy's friends at any point during that in my life.
Has any of y'all watched Two Distant Strangers on Netflix yet?
No.
watch it.
Yeah, watch that. I watched it twice actually. The second time I watched it with my daughter, and
Big up to Michael B. Jordan. You did an
Yeah.
amazing job in that movie, yo.
Facts, and more
Like,
facts.
for real.
But like you said, with Fruitvale Station, I watched Two Distant Strangers, and it hit home. There were a few times, like when I was younger, you know, like coming home from work or on my way to come meet up with y'all or something like that, where I had police officers like put a gun to me, and search me. I've had, matter of fact, the instance I remember the most is my ex-wife was pregnant with my daughter. We was in a cab. We were on our way back home, and two undercover cops stopped my cab, pulls it over, and yanks us out the car or whatever. And for some reason, it just seems like a lot of these police officers feel like they have something to prove. Like it's an ego trip for them. So because he couldn't just throw me around how he wanted to, he got even more and more upset. At the time I was
should have just inspired.
Oh, yo, bro, I can't stand. I'm sorry. So wait a minute. We've watched videos of people of other cultures who did not comply and still got to walk away.
Lieutenant Navarro is one of them. Did everything he was supposed to do. If you haven't, he's an army man, and he was in his fatigue, and I can't.
Maced him.
I can't.
Yeah, he's yelling.
But it'll be the same officers that'll be at these protests talking about, I respect all law enforcement and military. No, you don't. You respect all white law enforcement and military.
They didn't say that word. They said it in their mind. They said it out loud.
You know what I'm saying? Like, you gotta figure it out.
Show me a black man that hasn't been harassed in some form, fashion by a cop, and I will be shocked.
I can't. I know I've definitely been stopped several times in my life for no reason.
For nothing. And it's
Like
whether it's the car that I'm driving.
You got cops in Jersey stopping kids on their bikes.
The perfect boy drink, yeah.
That was so and took one of them to jail. Like,
I didn't even know you had to register your bike with the.
No, in that county, they step over the county line, and now they have to have registration.
I'm like, yo,
But my thing is, if you check, like,
you live in Jersey,
the history of that law in Perth Amboy, the law is from like 1939 or some shit like that.
It's like jaywalking. Like nobody.
Because at the time, to get a license for your bike, it only costs 50 cents. Look it up. It only costs 50 cents, so you had to get a little license, pay your 50 cents, you get your little license, and you can ride your bike in Perth Amboy. But that law is from like 1939. So.
Oh my goodness, that's what y'all doing. That's what y'all doing.
Petty.
Yo.
Petty. I have a question.
All right, before your question.
Okay.
We're gonna sidebar. What y'all think about this merch? What do you think about this merch?
Yeah, we did. Show a name.
What you want to say? What you want to say?
It says asshole?
No, it's uptown. Okay, yeah.
Sorry.
But it's the same thing.
Wow.
We're gonna switch topics. I just want to ask one question to everybody.
Yeah, strip clubs have amazing food.
They do.
They do though. They do. All right, let me not even go there.
Okay.
Sorry, you're gonna take me back.
Has anyone's parent growing up, if you can remember anyone speaking to you about being black or racism or being a black man or how to deal with cops, or as a black man growing up, has anyone experienced that from their parents or their guardian or anyone that they know?
Yes.
'Cause I never did.
I never had the black talk.
I never had it.
I had the black talk.
I never had it.
I was fortunate.
Right.
My great grandfather, who was actually in the army as well, said to me,
he knew.
"Yo, facts." And he sat me down. I think I might have been 10. I might have been 10 years old. He was like, "Listen, just comply. Like, don't do nothing. Don't raise your voice. Don't act belligerent. Like, and then just ask them to call one of your parents. Like, call us. Like, call us. Like, I want to speak to my great grand. Like, don't say nothing."
Wow.
How about you, Dre?
I actually had my first conversation about that coming back from Virginia. We had a family reunions down there every year.
How old were you?
I was about 9 or 10.
Okay.
My father pulled over into a gas station because me and my younger brother had to use the restroom. And we walk in, and my father asked the person who was, it's like one of them older gas stations. Right. So he asked the guy inside if we could use the restroom. He's like, "Oh, the restroom is, it's not in order." you know, and then we hear the restroom flush and a white guy comes out.
Wow.
So my father's like, but my sons have to use the bathroom. This guy cocks his shotgun, like literally cocks his shotgun. Like I said, it's not in order. My father's like, oh, let's go, Will. You know, y'all gonna have to hold it.
Where was
you know?
this? What state was this?
It's like Maryland or something like that.
Wow. That's crazy. I never had to talk with my family.
I never had to talk. I mean, I had to talk with my son. My son know that if he even at 60 years old, if he leaves the house without a piece of ID on him, I'm cussing him out.
Right.
Now that I've also had to, like, please make sure that when you walk out the house, you keep your ID with you.
Tell my daughter too. Just don't give him a reason. You know.
Because that's gonna be the first reason. Oh, you don't got no ID?
They could find whatever reason.
Yeah, but let it be
True.
hard. Let it be a hard time finding it. You know.
True.
Facts.
Don't
Yeah,
make
but
it
the
easy
question
for them.
is, like, even with that, like, if I reach for my ID, I'm scared to reach for my ID.
Right.
You know, and you're not gonna illegally search. You know, now that I know, you know, because at one point I was illegally searched. Or, you know, a couple of times I was younger because I didn't know any better.
Same here. You just complying. You're like, yo, I don't want to do nothing.
Yeah, you just got
like,
your hands up and
whatever
they're
you
patting
want.
you down and they're looking through your book bag and
Yep.
stuff, and it's like, but that's illegal. Like you don't have probable cause. You don't have a reason to search me. You don't have a warrant or anything. But because you got, you know,
I complied. I was like, here you go, whatever.
Black man walking. That's the
Right,
reason.
but I mean, but that's the thing, right? Do you state your rights because it's your rights, right? And then they like, oh, you want to be a smart ass, or do you just be like, yes,
So,
okay, like
again, things for us back in like the 80s and 90s are totally different than how things are now. You know, nowadays, you know, as soon as something happens, everybody runs up and everybody got camera phones.
Facts.
I have a problem with that to an extent.
I know
Let's
you're going.
take the situation
Go ahead.
with the young girl that just got popped by the cops, like 4 cinemass shots. There's a bunch of adults standing around while this girl is fighting to protect herself or whatever the case may be. I'm pretty sure there's a bunch of camera phones out. Why is nobody stopping the fight? The same thing with the George Floyd thing, and I get it. You know, people feel like they're powerless when it comes to the police.
'Cause nobody wants to become a victim trying to assist.
Right.
That's what it is.
So, but at the same time, like, I guess the question is, you know, even for that girl that said she cried night after night apologizing to George Floyd, like, y'all wish I could have did more, because had I been able to step in, maybe he would still be alive. I'm listening, bro.
But I'm gonna let you finish. But
I got after you.
So we have technology, which is cool because people are recording the instances, but I get it where you don't step into all instances because you don't want to be a statistic, but again, like, which ones do you step in and which ones do you know what I mean, like how do you know which ones to actually step in on and which ones not to? You know, if I'm seeing like 2 people fighting, do you step in? Do you break up the fight? Do you try to make sure that things are okay before you know, and I get it, don't get me wrong. There are instances where people broke up fights and they ended up dead. So I get that. But why is everybody just quick fast to pull out a cell phone and nobody wants to de-escalate? And believe that
We're gonna let
cops is
let brother Luke go.
Go ahead, bro, because you
I
ready.
appreciate you. You finish your thought?
Yeah.
So that's such a loaded example because there's so many factors that go into that, as far as like whether if the generation that we are now, are we too passive versus when our parents was out there, like that would have never happened.
That's true.
Like if someone was watching all the time when you was in the street.
That's true.
Hold on, and it would never have gone down like that.
Everybody's in.
Right? So it would bomb, right? So it's like not got like, so this generation now, are we so passive to just be like I don't want to get involved, like I don't want to put my well-being in this because in jeopardy, right? Like who's to say? And it's tough because I know. It's
So like me,
you gonna let me go? Tag me in, bro. It's tough because like all right, let's say someone does jump into right. Does someone else have your back? Like so many people are about themselves, and and that's just the way we kind of. I hate to call it soft, but we kind of.
I just think we're not united. But go ahead.
We're not united. All right, that might be right there too. Go ahead.
So let me ask you a question before I get to my point. When's the last time you felt like we've had like strong black leadership?
60s.
What's your answer?
Black Panther, Malcolm X.
You know, there are people out there, but they moving quietly. So that's what I'm gonna say to that.
Okay.
I can't call it.
So, I think Luke, you used the right word. We soft, we shook, buns, pussy, basura, whatever you want to call it. That's what we are. Because the last time I feel like we had some strong black leadership was like Malcolm X. You know what I'm saying? When we had Malcolm Madden, Fred Hampton. You know what I'm saying? That was a little bit after Malcolm X, but. We watch all of our great black leaders die, and the reason that shit is still the way it is because they killed the last of the Mohicans. They killed the last of the people ready to die for this shit.
It's true.
So
because they killed the last of the people that's ready to die for this shit, we all have become shook. Because that's why you had a whole bunch of people standing out there with their camera phones. Because you're right, ain't nobody willing to step up and die for this shit.
You're right. And I just have one thing to say, and I want you guys to chime in, if you will.
Farrakhan is out there.
Okay, that's a whole nother topic. Don't want to mention Sharpton, but anyway.
He ain't willing to die for nothing.
But listen, do you guys ever remember seeing photos back in the 60s, civil rights movement, Malcolm X, Martin Luther King, where the black people were in the cops' faces? They had nice to them and they was in their faces. They had stuff, they was fighting them back. You see actual photos in time, in real time. They stop and you see the fight. You see it. They wasn't scared to die. They wasn't scared to fight the dogs, the fire hose. Hold on. Even with the dogs, the fire hose, the shooting, the hanging of black people, they still wasn't scared. They wasn't scared. And I don't think at that time that was Malcolm X and Martin Luther King era, right? I just feel like
they killed the last of the Mohicans. They killed the last of the Mohicans, man.
I just feel like they know that we're scared. That's why they do what we do. That's why they do what they do because they know that we're scared.
Okay, so in response to that. When we were protesting for George Floyd, I was out there. I protested several times. And call me whatever, right? But the stuff they were saying to the police, right, in their face.
Like what?
Maybe I was conditioned, but I was just like, yo, like, please stop.
What are they saying?
It was like, yo, fuck you. Like they were going in like, yo, you pigs, like I mean like disrespectful.
You need to hear it.
And again, yes.
Disrespectful.
Hold on. First off, you don't know if these were good cops or bad cops, right? And I know you're in the moment and you feeling the way you feel, and I get it, I got it. But for me, I was just like, please don't antagonize these people because if they go off, we dead.
What you just said just sparked the question.
Because I'm like, I feel you, like I'm with you, I feel you, but
not this far.
So I got a question real quick.
It was tough. It was tough to be there because I
would have been, yeah, that's right.
I wanted to, but I was just like, ooh, like maybe we shouldn't go that far.
My thing is, if you're going to a
like words hurt, you know what I'm saying?
If you're going to a rally as a police officer, you have to know that you're going to hear those things.
Yeah,
that's just common sense. You know
I'm saying though, like how much do you take?
Who cares?
I'm just saying.
I mean, I feel like this, right? You know, like you said something that triggered a question, right? So you said, you know, you didn't know whether they were good cops or bad cops, right? So I often hear the and I hate to use this word, but the narrative, I hate the word narrative because everybody uses it. But the narrative that's used whenever discussing bad cops, that they be like, oh, it's just a bad apple, right?
It's a couple of bad apples.
Couple of bad apples, right?
Don't so you say that a couple of bad apples spoil a whole bunch.
I mean. So here's the thing. I'm sick of hearing that shit because I feel like if you gotta think of like a list of jobs where there can't be no fucking like if you work at Foot Locker and you steal a couple of sneakers.
Oh,
You could be a bad apple. It's Foot Locker. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, there are certain jobs where, like, I'm an electrician. If I'm wiring up some shit in a hospital and I don't do my job, and the nurse call system that I ran doesn't tell the nurse that the patient in bed is having an alert. Like, if I decide to be a bad apple that day and not do my job correctly, somebody could lose their life.
Right.
If you are a doctor and you're a surgeon and all of a sudden you decided to take a fifth of Henny and some weed because it's legal now before you go into your next surgery, and then they want to say, like, there's certain jobs where you can't afford to have bad apples, or better yet, right, because I work in construction, if the iron worker who's putting together the infrastructure for the building or a bridge or whatever he's doing is not doing it, if he's certain jobs you can't afford to have bad apples. So I'm sick and tired of hearing that fucking bad apple bullshit. Police officers should be at the top of the list of can't be a bad apple. Am I bugging?
Yeah. What you got to say?
I'm bugging?
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Yeah, Rhoda. Let it out.
No, because I feel your pain. I feel what you're saying. Like, I get it. But every single job, from customer service to surgeons to teachers to nurses to police officers, everybody has bad apples. There's no job where everybody does their job. There's no job where everyone is on the same page.
However,
there's no job where everybody's on the same team. There's no job in this world where everybody
I got you.
equally has the same integrity for their job.
That's true. However, there's a standard that everybody's held to. So if
Allegedly, as you can see, but go ahead.
I get you. But what I'm saying is, if the teachers don't do their jobs right, then they get graded on that stuff, and they get fired if they're not doing their jobs.
It takes a lot to get a teacher fired.
Depends on how far they get into it. If they get their tenure, that's a little bit different.
Well, it takes a lot to get anybody who has a union fired.
I work
Let's
in the
keep it a
medical
buck.
field.
Let's make a broad statement. Anybody who works in a field where you have a union, it is difficult to get you fired. And police have one of the strongest unions out there, right? You know what I'm saying? Which is why they get away with the bullshit that they do, because their union is so strong.
And you don't know what they're telling police officers. Like, don't worry, whatever you do, we got your back. Don't worry about it. You don't know what they're telling them before they go out in that street. You know, so like I said, I work in the medical field, and I've seen doctors and surgeons kill people. I've seen it. And there's some hospitals you go to, you be like, I don't want to go to that hospital because that hospital's known for negligence.
I definitely don't go to
It's known for
hospitals.
negligence. You're not gonna go there.
You don't go to Waterhole Hospital.
Right, like you just know.
You don't go to Lincoln Hospital.
And you thinking like, oh, it's a medical field, they're gonna take care of me. No, they're not. No, they're not. So with that being said, it's everywhere, Rob. It's unfortunate.
So here's the thing, right? I think we talk about standards. Like there's a difference between me being at work a day where it's a slow day and I'm sitting in the corner making free money, texting on my phone all day, and when I'm working in the hospital and I know that the connection that I gotta make from the patient's bed to the nurse call center, I can't afford to slack off when I'm doing, because I hold myself, my work is important to me.
You have integrity.
Hold on. But whether it's working I'm at a hospital or whether it's me putting a television up in my friend's house, like I take pride in my work.
That's you.
But while that's true,
I can't afford to be a bad apple.
Again, while that's true,
good.
what's the nature of your job and what's the nature of theirs? Where did their job come from and where did yours come from?
Right. The
origin of policing was killing us.
That's true. That's true. So it was like, okay, they're not doing anything.
So in retrospect,
so they just being consistent.
In retrospect, they're actually doing their job.
You see that? Damn.
Wow, that's
crazy.
Message.
That's
Jimmy Crow.
The remix.
That's crazy.
The remix. I mean, there's actually the book that these officers and FBI agents have to go through, tell them that you should, killing is okay.
Just saw that video today.
Yes,
like Sean King, he posted it to give us some insight on what training that these cops are getting and why they continue to kill us. Like this is it's insane.
So
Yeah, go ahead.
There's a question I wouldn't mind asking, and I'm pretty sure that there should be comments about this. The fact that we talk about the bad apples, besides the one that we know about, the young lady that was in Buffalo that got fired for intervening when a white officer was using excessive force.
Which she actually, they reinstilled her pension and everything finally. Right?
Right.
Kudos to her.
So
look up her name.
So
we'll
we'll talk about her being a good apple, but where the other officers, like, so for instance, when George Floyd was taking place, there were 4 officers on George besides. So it was 3 other officers besides Chauvin, and then
they're gonna go to trial too. So.
Right. I get that, but what I'm saying is, and then you got the Asian officer who was standing to the side, acting like people who were videotaping were a threat.
Right.
Where's the voice of reason in anybody that says, bro, you gotta get up, bro, that's too much.
Well, the problem is, right, I think, like, even though black people have had, and at least in my opinion, obviously I'm biased because I'm black, but the most tumultuous relationship with law enforcement, right? But at the end of the day, I don't think that black people hate all law enforcement. I have family or friends that are in every branch of law enforcement, whether it be court officer, PD, corrections, you know. But I think what people don't understand is that our frustration comes from the lack of accountability. A law enforcement agency, whether it's New York, LA, Chicago, Baltimore, wherever, right? They will be quick to throw out some money, which is taxpayers' money, by the way, right? Then issue a statement where they take full accountability, press charges, and even convict. So there's no accountability. The only accountability is you saying, well, they know they did something because they cut out a check. But so if you consider that accountability, that's the only accountability that's ever been taken.
They respect
right? But at the end of the day, I feel like since that is taxpayer money that is used in all of these cases, right? It wouldn't stop racism, but it would at least check people and make people feel like they wouldn't have to get away with shit if that money came out of the cops' pensions. If the money that paid for these settlements came out of the cops' pensions, they would hold each other way more accountable, and there'd be less officers standing around protecting, holding down that blue wall. If that money came out of their pensions, they'd be like, yo, you're not fucking up my money.
But do you think it'd be less payouts?
Carol Horn is her name, by the way.
You think it would be less payouts if that was the case?
I think it would be. I'm thinking it would be less payouts, but I think it would also be more officers holding each other accountable. Because at the end of the day, you know what I'm saying? Like, I love all y'all dearly. I would never let none of y'all fuck up my money. So if I got to work with you and I feel like you about to fuck up the money, I'd be like, oh, whoa there, buddy, what you doing? You know what I'm saying?
Right now.
Is that a bad point? Is that a bad point?
You know what I'm saying? Like, if you not gonna fuck up my money, I got vacations I got planned, I got, you know what I'm saying, a house, you know what I'm saying, I got a car, you know what I'm saying, I got shit going on. I got insurance.
Let's see, that might happen in the near future. It's being said more than once. I've heard that plenty of times, so let's see.
I mean,
like I said, I don't think it would stop racism, but I think it definitely would hold all of the officers to hold each other to a better level of accountability.
Oh yeah.
So we got about 5 minutes that we're gonna give you guys. That we definitely gonna have to do a part 2.
Facts.
Because this is deep. And again, like I said, remember the date. It is April 23rd. God willing, we will not have any more tragedy happening, but something has to change.
And this is more than an hour, bro. I told you, bro.
You did tell me, but I had my thoughts, and clearly not.
I got a lot of shit that's in my brain that I want to get off my chest. So let me tell you something. I could do a whole hour of this shit by myself.
Listen, let's talk about the mental anguish just watching the trial put on people.
Oh my God, bro!
Like having to relive watching this man get murdered.
First of all, I've only watched the video in its full entirety one time, and I couldn't watch it straight through. Like by the end of the video, I was crying.
Yeah, I cried too. Like, you know real facts. Like
yeah, it is what it is. You know what I'm saying? We grown men. Like I cried, right?
I cried.
So
facts.
I have not been able to watch since the one time where I watched it in its entirety. So I can imagine what that did to the jury. Like, I don't give a fuck how many experts you got come say whatever. Them jurors had to watch that video like over like 25 times.
Not just that video. Like, so I actually watched it. I actually watched the court case on MSNBC. So not only did you see that original footage, but there was other footage that they showed too, from other people and other cameras that was in the air. Bro, like I had to turn that thing off a few times because it made me really emotional. Like I was angry afterwards, like really irate a couple of times afterwards.
Therapy, people, is important, and if this trial didn't affect your mental stability, I mean, power to you, but I'll tell you, it hit different than anything.
I told you we was gonna watch history. I told you we was gonna watch history, man.
Because when Ronnie King happened, most of us were like
young.
10.
Yeah, we're too young.
You know, we ain't really know, but to know now as an adult, like adulting, it hit different, yo.
Yeah,
it hit different.
I pray that everything works out at the end. The sentencing works out at the end.
Man.
The family gets closure. And, you know, we can be better from this. Let's pray. I hope.
Definitely hoping.
I mean, I feel this step was at least something to show that you will be held accountable, right? Bearing that we are able to record it, right? Because God knows what happens if we're not able to record it. How differently this case would have went.
No face, no case.
Right? No face, no case.
And that's only half, because sometimes you see a face and it's like, I mean.
And they still get off.
So record. Like, I know we might feel like, yo, get in there. Like, record, yo. Like, do your part. Like, thank you. That the girl, how old was she?
With the young girl
She was like,
that recorded?
Oh,
I think she's like 17
I
when she
mean,
recorded.
God damn, like, cause you, like, we
She was
cried.
a minor, yeah.
Imagine being there.
Like, yo, like.
Thank God for her, though.
So record, yo, like, do your part. Like, if that's all you can do, if that's all you can do, that.
Yeah, if all you can do is record.
It helps. Yeah. Clearly, it helps. It will push forward.
It will be helpful. I'm not gonna say help.
Life.
I'm gonna say it'd be helpful because we only had one time where I actually saw it helped. The rest of the times we saw videos, it was helpful.
Okay.
Right. And I'm just being.
Okay.
I'm not trying to be negative, but I'm just being being a realist.
Okay. But let's be optimistic on this particular case because we got this one, and we're in an age where people are about that camera phone life.
They are. Social media is a big thing right now.
Big. So you already know we got in the building.
Yo, Dre.
We're gonna end
Uptown.
it a little wrap out.
We're done, bro.
So you finishing up now?
I mean, it's like 5 minutes.
I know you want to stay on, and we could stay on, but you gotta wait. You gotta wait for part two, y'all.
Oh, we're gonna go part two.
Yeah, we'll be back.
Keep this in mind. Remember us. We'll be back.
So stay busy and stay blessed. Because if you're busy, that means you blessed. If you busy in this time of craziness, that means you blessed.
That's true.
You know what I'm saying? And stay
busy
focused.
Don't always mean productive, bro.
Huh?
Busy don't always mean productive. I'm sorry.
It could be busy.
Yeah, go ahead.
He's trying to make it positive, Jay. You just took it a whole other way. Trying to speak the good
I was gonna say,
word.
stay busy, stay blessed, stay focused, and stay fearless.
Busy don't always mean that you're gonna be productive. FYI.
It be your own people, son. It be your own people. It be your own people, bro.
RTI.
I love my people. Love them.
Yo, Uptown Brown in the building, giving y'all some knowledge. We got
Ramona. Thanks for watching.
I tried to be intellectual today and it didn't work.
Professor Brown. It did. You have a spillover for 420. We got new Harlan Skywalker in the building.
Might be true.
No judgment.
We, as always, thank you for watching. We look forward to you. Definitely check out part 2. And as always, have a great today
See how you dry snitched?
And a better.
and a better tomorrow.
Yeah, terrible.
Yes.
Later, y'all.
Watch the episode.
No.